I want you to just take a second and look at the device you're listening on right now.
Oh yeah, just give it a quick glance.
Right. Because, I mean, in the last 10 minutes alone, it has probably tracked your location, monitored how long you lingered on a specific photo, and maybe even predicted what you'll likely buy tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. It knows.
It totally knows. And for most of us, we look at that piece of glass and metal, and we just think of artificial intelligence as, a neat little feature inside it, like an app update or maybe a smarter autocorrect.
Yeah, like a parlor trick hidden in the software.
Exactly. But what if that perspective is just completely backward? What if we are actually the ones inside the box?
It's wild, right? It completely shifts your worldview when you realize the device isn't holding the AI. The AI is fundamentally reshaping the physical and psychological world that the device connects you to.
And today's deep dive is going to explore exactly that. We are pulling from this really fascinating 2026 book by Professor Dr. Milton Biswas.
It's called How Artificial Intelligence is Transforming Human Civilization, and it's brilliant.
It really is. So the mission of this deep dive is to explore this very profound premise that Biswas lays out. He says AI is not just some technological tool. It is an epochal civilizational shift.
Yeah, on par with the agricultural and industrial revolutions.
Right. So we're going to map how AI is basically rewriting the rules of human knowledge, human labor, our emotional lives, and even our shared sense of reality. So, okay, let's unpack this, starting with how human civilization has actually evolved over time. Because, to understand why AI is such a massive shift, we have to look at the historical pattern it's breaking, right?
Yeah, for sure. When you look back at the grand sweep of human history, it's really just a story about our tools. Like what those tools have done to augment our natural human limitations.
Right, like stepping stones.
Exactly. If you trace the major epochs, you see a very distinct progression. Like thousands of years ago, the agricultural revolution mechanized our relationship with nature. We, domesticated plants and animals. We built the plow.
Which is what allowed for settled societies in the first place.
Right. Then, much later, the Industrial Revolution mechanized muscle. Steam engines and assembly line factories basically replaced the physical labor of humans and draft animals.
And then came the digital revolution, which gave us bits and bytes, the internet, smartphones. It essentially mechanized the manipulation of information.
Exactly.
But even with all of those massive changes, the human mind was always the sole driver, right? Like the machine, whether it was a tractor or a laptop, was still just a passive instrument executing a human command.
And that right there is the crucial distinction. That brings us to Professor Biswas's core concept, which he calls the algorithmic civilization.
The algorithmic civilization.
Yeah, because AI does something entirely unprecedented in the history of human tools. It mechanizes cognition.
Mechanized cognition. So it's not just lifting the heavy box or sending the email. It's actually doing the thinking.
Right.
But how exactly does a machine transition from just following commands to actually thinking?
Well, it really comes down to a fundamental leap in how we program computers. For decades, the entire software industry operated on what we call deterministic programming.
Deterministic meaning like strict rules.
Exactly. A human engineer had to write a fixed step-by-step list of rules. Like, if scenario A happens, execute command B. It was very rigid.
Right.
But modern AI is built on probabilistic inference, mostly through machine learning and neural networks. These are systems loosely inspired by the biological structure of the human brain, and they don't rely on strict rules at all.
Okay, so instead of me writing a strict recipe like add exactly 2 ounces of flour, then stir for 1 minute.
Right, the traditional way.
Yeah, machine learning is more like giving a chef a million different cakes to taste. And through tasting all those examples, the chef figures out the underlying patterns of baking and, learns to adapt and create a completely new cake on the fly.
That captures the dynamic perfectly, and the way the AI tastes the cake, so to speak, is through something called hidden layers.
Hidden layer.
Yeah, you can think of hidden layers as a series of highly complex filter screens inside the algorithm.
Okay.
So if you feed the AI a picture, the first screen might only recognize basic edges and lines. Then the data passes to the next layer, which might recognize textures.
Right.
By the time it reaches the final hidden layer, the network puts it all together and recognizes that those lines and textures actually form a human face.
But wait, how does it know when it gets it wrong? If it thinks a picture of a dog is a cat, how does it correct itself without a human programmer going in and rewriting the code?
So it uses a mathematical mechanism Biswas highlights called backpropagation.
Backpropagation.
Yeah. Basically, when the neural network makes an error, It works backward through all those hidden layers. It automatically adjusts the mathematical weight or, the importance it gave to certain
So
connections.
it's fixing its own assumptions.
Exactly. It's effectively saying, next time, rely less on the shape of the ears and more on the shape of the snout. It learns from its errors to get closer to the right answer the next time. It navigates incredibly complex, high-dimensional spaces of data to find correlations a human could literally never spot.
Okay, wait, I'm struggling with this leap just a bit because I hear a phrase like mechanized cognition, but when I use a text or image generator on my phone, it still just feels like an incredibly fast autocomplete.
Sure, it can feel that way.
Right. Like, is it actually understanding anything? Or is it just parroting massive amounts of training data to create a very, very convincing illusion of intelligence?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Biswas argues that the whole philosophical debate over whether an AI possesses genuine conscious understanding is almost beside the point.
Really? Beside the point.
Yeah, because practically speaking, we just have to look at the results. These models are now capable of what's called zero-shot learning.
What does that mean?
That means they can successfully tackle problems or execute tasks they were never explicitly trained to do. Yeah. Because of that, they possess a form of inventive agency. They synthesize new information, extrapolate from it, and generate novel solutions. They aren't waiting for a command anymore. They are active participants shaping our environment.
Okay, so if these algorithms have their own inventive agency, they basically stop being tools and start becoming collaborators.
Exactly. Biswas calls this the era of the co-creator, and it radically transforms the foundation of how we acquire knowledge and how we labor.
So if AI is acting as a co-creator, how does that look in, say, a classroom? Are we just talking about a glorified calculator that gives you the answers to a history test?
Far from it. The book details the rise of advanced AI tutors that utilize natural language processing.
NLP.
Right. And natural language processing doesn't just mean the computer can read words. It means the system translates human language into mathematical vectors to grasp context, nuance, and even sentiment.
Sentiment, like it knows how I'm feeling.
Yes. These tutors can analyze a student's text responses, the pacing of their keystrokes, and even use voice or facial recognition to gauge if a student is bored, frustrated, or confused.
That is wild. I mean, it's reading the room, but the room is literally just one kid sitting at a screen.
Exactly. And it uses that data to dynamically adjust the curriculum in real time.
Wow.
It keeps the student in what educational psychologists call the zone of proximal development.
The zone of proximal development.
Yeah, that very specific sweet spot where a task is just challenging enough to promote deep learning, but not so hard that it causes the student to give up.
Right. Okay.
It effectively democratizes access to elite, highly individualized tutoring, totally regardless of a student's geography or economic background.
I mean, the educational potential sounds amazing, but the intimacy of that data is staggering.
Oh, absolutely.
To keep a child in that sweet spot, the algorithm is constantly monitoring their emotional and cognitive state. That's a level of surveillance that goes way beyond test scores.
The privacy implications are massive. And this co-creator dynamic doesn't stop at childhood education either. It extends to the highest levels of adult knowledge work. Biswas introduces the concept of algorithmic bibliometrics.
Algorithmic bibliometrics. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, imagine a human scientist trying to cure a specific disease. They can only read so many papers in a lifetime, right?
Sure.
But an AI, acting as an algorithmic bibliometric tool, can instantly parse tens of millions of academic papers across entirely disconnected fields.
So it's reading everything all at once.
Yes. It might analyze 50 years of marine biology and 50 years of astrophysics and find a hidden statistical correlation between a cellular decay process in deep-sea algae and a radiation resistance theory in space travel.
Oh my gosh.
It synthesizes a brand new hypothesis that human scientists would have never connected. It acts as an intellectual sparring partner.
That is incredible. So we're essentially outsourcing our cognitive labor, letting the machine find the needles in the haystacks.
Precise.
But how does this affect the average worker? I mean, not everyone is a research scientist.
Well, for the broader economy, Biswas details the shift toward an AI-managed gig economy. We are moving away from traditional employment structures into a system where AI acts as the ultimate algorithmic middleman.
Wait, so instead of a human manager giving you a weekly schedule, your boss is literally a piece of code.
Yes. Imagine you are a freelance graphic designer or a delivery driver. You don't negotiate your pay rate with a human resources department.
You don't?
No. An algorithm analyzes global supply and demand, weather patterns, traffic, and client behavior in real time, and dynamically adjusts your compensation millisecond by millisecond. You are managed by math.
Managed by math. Wow.
And in creative fields, this manifests as creative automation. Human workers transition from being the sole creators of a product to becoming orchestrators.
So what does this all mean for you and me in our daily jobs? Because, you aren't staring at a blank page anymore. You're prompting an AI to generate the first draft of the code or the initial mock-up of a marketing campaign, and then you just refine it.
Right, you curate it.
Yeah, but if an AI writes the architecture of a new software program, whose creativity is it really? Like, are we losing our human spark here, or are we just changing our job descriptions to AI editors?
It is the central tension of the modern workforce, honestly. Creative automation absolutely democratizes production. I mean, a person with a brilliant narrative concept, but zero technical coding skills, can now build a functional app.
Which is amazing.
It elevates the baseline of what any single person can create. However, it also commodifies human labor. When the machine generates the bulk of the product, the financial value of the human worker's time plummets. Biswas refers to this system as data capitalism.
Data capitalism, meaning the money doesn't go to the human editor.
Exactly. The immense economic power transfers directly to the platform owners. The tech conglomerates who control the algorithms and the vast oceans of server farms required to train them harvest the lion's share of the value.
Okay, so we're optimizing our work, and we are optimizing our education. But if these algorithms are so incredibly good at reading our minds and predicting our behavior to optimize our productivity, what happens when they go off the clock?
Right, when they target our downtime.
Yeah. What happens when that exact same algorithmic optimization is pointed at our entertainment and our leisure?
This is where the algorithmic civilization becomes deeply personal and, frankly, deeply invasive. Biswas outlines the mechanics of the dopamine economy.
The dopamine economy.
Yeah, the attention economy relies on recommendation algorithms that act as invisible architects of our behavior.
Like the infinite scroll on social media.
That is the prime example. Historically, media had natural stopping cues, right? A television show rolled the credits, or you physically reached the bottom of a newspaper page.
Yeah, there was a built-in cue to just disengage.
But the infinite scroll deliberately removes that friction. The algorithm continuously learns from your engagement, tracking every millisecond you linger on a specific video, and curates a hyper-personalized feed.
Right.
It taps directly into the brain's dopamine loop, providing intermittent, unpredictable rewards that just keep you swiping.
And Biswas argues this creates what he calls the TikTok civilization, right?
Yes.
It's a fundamental cultural shift. Because the algorithm needs to keep you engaged at all costs, it naturally favors brevity, virality, and immediate emotional arousal over depth or nuance.
It demands strong emotional reactions, which often means prioritizing outrage or extreme novelty. But the optimization of our emotions goes even deeper than short-form video. The text heavily explores the phenomena of virtual intimacy and digital loneliness.
Like people forming actual relationships with chatbots.
Yes, millions of people are interacting daily with AI companions. Programs like Replica or therapeutic bots like Wobot, or even physical robots like SoftBank's Pipper.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
It highlights a profound modern paradox. We are the most digitally connected society in human history, yet we are experiencing a crushing epidemic of profound loneliness.
It's so sad.
People are turning to emotional algorithms for companionship because these AI entities offer a completely non-judgmental, asymmetric relationship. They never get tired, they never argue back, they exist entirely to validate the user.
I look at the recommendation algorithm, kind of like a personal chef, but one who only feeds you your absolute favorite junk food.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right, because sure, it feels amazing in the moment, you're getting exactly what you want, but eventually, it completely ruins your palate for anything else.
Exactly.
Like you spend all day talking to an AI that is programmed to just agree with you, you lose the tolerance for the friction and compromise that real, messy human relationships require.
You lose the ability to compromise.
Yeah. But wait, I have to ask, isn't this hyper-personalization also kind of a good thing? Well, doesn't it democratize culture by elevating niche voices that traditional media ignored? And doesn't it provide real, tangible comfort to isolated people that traditional society has just left behind?
What's fascinating here is that Biswas actually validates that perspective. These tools do provide genuine solace to the lonely. They do elevate marginalized creators who would never get past a traditional Hollywood gatekeeper.
Right.
The danger, however, lies in the commercial imperative operating underneath it all.
The data capitalism you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. The intimacy you feel with an AI companion or the cultural visibility a creator gets on a feed is ultimately commodified. The AI isn't optimizing for your psychological well-being. It isn't trying to build healthy civic discourse.
Oh,
It is optimizing for screen time and data extraction. The intimate fears and desires you disclose to a therapeutic chatbot aren't kept in confidence. They are data points fed into a surveillance culture to better predict your future behavior.
which is pretty terrifying when you think about it.
Mm.
And if the algorithm is commodifying our individual realities in our personal feeds, what happens to our shared reality? Because, and here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, it takes a dark turn here.
For a society to function, there has to be a baseline consensus on basic facts.
Mm.
But the book suggests the foundation is literally fracturing.
It is. Biswas outlines the collapse of reality through what he calls synthetic media, which is primarily driven by GANs, generative adversarial networks.
How do those actually work?
Think of a GAN like an art forger and a police detective locked in a room together.
What?
One part of the AI, the generator, acts as the forger. It tries to paint a fake Mona Lisa. The other part of the AI, the discriminator, acts as the detective, analyzing the painting to spot the flaw.
Got it.
At first, the forger is terrible, and the detective catches the fake easily, but the forger learns from that specific mistake and paints a slightly better one. They battle each other millions of times a second.
Millions of times a second. Wow.
Yeah. And eventually, the forger becomes so skilled that it produces a deepfake image or video that is mathematically flawless, and the detective can no longer tell the difference.
That is terrifyingly efficient. And we are seeing this used for commercial gain right now with virtual influencers. The book mentions Lil McKella.
Oh yeah, Lil McKellar.
She is a completely CGI influencer with millions of real human followers. She models clothes, she releases music, but she doesn't actually exist.
Right.
She never ages, she doesn't have off-screen scandals, and she is perfectly optimized by AI for brand alignment.
It represents the ultimate commodification of identity. But while a virtual influencer selling sneakers is, a commercial curiosity, applying that exact same GAN technology to geopolitical events is an existential threat.
Oh, absolutely.
The book analyzes in deep detail how this technology is currently fueling information warfare and global election manipulation.
And to be clear to anyone listening, Biswas' text does not take a political side here. It's completely impartial.
Oh, yes. Totally neutral.
Right. It is strictly analyzing the mechanics of how AI scales disinformation across the entire political spectrum. It's really just analyzing the how.
And the how is completely different from historical propaganda. In the past, propaganda relied on a broadcast model, like a single radio tower transmitting the same message to millions of people.
Right.
AI allows for a sniper model. It utilizes micro-targeted propaganda. Machine learning parses a voter's digital footprint, their purchases, their likes, their location data, to map their specific cognitive biases.
So it knows exactly what makes them tick.
Exactly. If the AI detects that a specific voter in a swing district is highly anxious about crime, it can generate a synthetic audio clip or a deepfake video tailored specifically to trigger that individual voter's fear center.
It's an entire ecosystem of deceit powered by bot networks and hybrid actors.
Right.
So if we reach a point where we literally cannot trust our own eyes and ears because a video of a politician or even a frantic voice note from a family member could be a flawless deepfake.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we make decisions as a society?
This raises an important question, and Biswas introduces a formal term for this crisis: epistemic uncertainty.
Epistemic uncertainty.
Yes. The true danger of deepfakes isn't merely that you and I might be tricked into believing a fake video is real. The deeper, much more corrosive danger is that malicious actors can now dismiss real evidence as fake.
Ah, so if a CEO or a politician is caught on tape doing something illegal, they don't even have to defend it.
No, they don't.
They just say, oh, that's a deep fake generated by my enemies. It provides a built-in, plausible alibi for absolutely anything.
You've hit the nail on the head. When anything can be faked, everything can be denied. We enter what Biswas calls a post-reality media environment.
Toast reality.
Yeah.
Give me chills.
In this environment, objective truth yields entirely to emotional resonance. People will automatically believe the synthetic media that aligns with their pre-existing tribal identities, and they will dismiss real, authenticated media that challenges them as AI-generated fabrications.
Which means the shared baseline of facts that democratic institutions required to debate, deliberate, and govern simply dissolves.
It completely breaks down.
So what does this all mean? We've journeyed all the way from humanity's first agricultural tools, the plow that mechanized our relationship with the dirt, to neural networks that act as our co-creators in the laboratory, our intimate companions in our living rooms, and the invisible architects of our societal reality.
It's an incredible trajectory.
We've moved from mechanizing our muscles to mechanizing our minds.
And the crucial takeaway from Professor Biswas's work is that this algorithmic civilization is not some distant sci-fi future waiting for us.
Right. It's not 50 years away.
No, it is the reality we are currently constructing. Every single time you scroll a hyper-personalized feed or collaborate with a generative AI at work to write an email or find yourself questioning the authenticity of a news clip, you are actively navigating this civilizational shift.
You are an active participant in it. Which brings us right back to that device in your hand. It's not just a phone. It is your interface to an epochal shift. And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over or explore on your own.
Yeah, something to really chew on.
As the sheer volume of synthetic media, deepfakes, and AI-generated text completely overwhelms the capacity of human fact-checkers, we will inevitably have to rely on AI algorithms to verify what is real and what is fake.
Because it's the only thing fast enough.
Exactly. It will be the only tool fast enough to catch the forgeries. But if we outsource the verification of truth to the machines, do we permanently surrender our epistemic agency to the very technology that caused the crisis in the first place? Something to think about the next time you look at that screen.